Hey guys, welcome back. This is day 2 of our live summit with the Spark Academy. I'm really excited to bring back the Spark coaches tonight. So wherever you're joining us from, we'd like to know where you're from, and we'd really like to know about your business tonight. So as we're talking about systems and processes on how to ignite your business, burn through challenges, and rise up in support, we'd love to know all that we can about you so we can support you. And we will come back and engage with you later with all of your comments. So I like to kick in. I want to bring Stacy up. Craig is here with us again, if you were able to join us last night. And we're going to pivot just a little bit. So last night we talked about how to audit your business, all the things that need to go into that when you're ready to either start a business or if you're in the process of getting ready to scale. So I am going to be bringing Stacy Moore, aka the operator, up with us. Hello.
Hey now.
So this first time we've actually gone live on LinkedIn together on YouTube. We're on Clubhouse all the time. So I'm excited to have you on tonight. So Stacy, first tell everyone a little bit about you. And obviously they know that you're a Spark Academy coach, but I love all the things that you do. I love your brand, and I'm excited for everybody to hear from you and from Craig tonight. So the mic is yours.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be part of the Spark Academy, being in rooms with you, hearing your leadership as a female, as a strong leader, and as a business strategist. It was impressive. So the conversations that we had led to us moving forward and saying, hey, we need to catch up. I am known as the operator. I connect small business owners to the resources and relationships they need in order to propagate more revenue so they can frickin' relax just a little bit. I'm a meetup maximizer, which means that I like to put the talent in front of their ideal audience, allow them to increase their book of business, and then, of course, give them an additional stream of revenue. So Spark Academy is allowing me to play and get paid on a day-to-day basis. So it's a great opportunity to be part of the Spark Academy, all elements of it, and burn, baby, burn.
Love it. Well, I see Angelique has already joined us. Angelique has been a huge supporter in the agency for the Phoenix Factor and as well as the Spark Academy. She is a member, and you guys definitely go check her out. All of the incredible things that she does through food, not necessarily with food. And I'll let you figure out what I mean by that. So if you're joining us once again, we'd love to know about your business. Feel free to drop links. You guys network. This is an open conversation. We will be bringing guests up possibly tonight and tomorrow. Then we'll be back doing Burn Seat. If you guys haven't heard about the infamous Burn Seat yet, on Fridays, we are going to make sure that we help entrepreneurs. So all of the coaches get together. We take a little deep dive into everything that's going on with you and your business and your website. And then we put you in the burn seat, but it's not to burn you, it's to burn through the challenges that you're experiencing. So all the coaches get to help you with that. This is an incredible opportunity. I know it kind of sounds scary, but now where I am, and Stacy, I'm sure you'll agree, if I had a group like that when I started out, they could have said, Brandy, you're making this mistake, or if you shift this, it'll increase your sales, or this, you need this strategy, just all the things that I didn't know and that caused a lot of damage, honestly, and a lot of stress and cost money and all of the things. So let's dive into the conversation. We're going to be bringing Craig up here shortly. Let's dive into this conversation about systems and operations and strategy, all the things tonight, but systems and processes. My infamous statement that I always say is, just because you're good at what you do does not make you good at business.
That's right.
And I think that's a great place to start. So, my downfall, and I'll throw myself into the fire for this one. You have somebody come to you, and let's say that was me, 15 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I love training people and getting them healthy. And I'm going to go start a business, right? There's so many things that you have to take a step back and look at and ask yourself. So let's start the deep dive into systems and processes that you're going to need even just to start out. So let's talk to those that are in their infancy, and then we'll get Craig up here shortly and talk about those that are ready to scale.
Yeah. I think I got thrown into the fire and somebody had to pull me out and do a little resuscitation. I didn't have so many things set up just because I didn't even know they were required or necessary. Let's start out with, before you even get into doing business, what's the blueprint? What's the plan? Like, why are you even doing this? How long are you going to sustain it? What gifts or talents, skills do you already bring to the table for it? So is this even doable for you, right? And can you sustain this on a daily basis? The business structure, actually putting the entity into play when you get started so that the structure is set up. One of the first people that I should have had was an accountant on board to keep track of all of that, the budget, P&L, just the day-to-day operations, managing expenses and revenue to know if there was a profit. Yeah, we I know you helped us make the shift one day when we were talking about revenue. We all talk about revenue generating activity, but we really want profit, because we can be spinning wheels for days and we could have generated 7 million in income last year, but then how much was the profit? And so then what does the burnout look like with that? But if we don't know the numbers, if we weren't a numbers person going into it before, that's really important to look at. So I'm saying just the foundation of what is a business, and getting
Yeah.
that set up.
I'm tagging a lot of people so they can
I
jump
got
in.
you.
We're asking where the links are. And I'm going to bring Craig up. So for those of you that are tuning in right now, we're covering really all the insights that you need as far as when you're first starting out in business. And I brought up I tell my story all the time. And as much as I want to blame the situation I was in personally, because I suddenly became a single mom with an infant and a 3-year-old, and I couldn't keep it together and run this brand new business I had. And I ended up losing everything. However, looking back now, what I got out of that, and the whole point of being the Phoenix factor, is that if you go into this with the right mindset, that you will fail, right? But you can burn through that and you can rise up. So if you're properly prepared when you start with these strategies and these processes, even if the worst things happen, you can rise a little faster, a little stronger, a little smarter, and you're going to bounce back. Because even though the failures are inevitable as you grow, things are going to happen. Having all these things in place. So, and what I love about the Spark Academy is Stacy's going to give you guys so much value from her standpoint and how she works with clients. I'm going to give you some feedback. Of course, Craig's going to give you feedback as well. But when you're in a room with all of the coaches, imagine, once again, the impact that you're going to get. So, Stacy, before we bring Craig up, they're in the infancy. We just laid out the foundation, right? So everybody at the bottom line, they're like, how do I make money? I mean, let's be honest. That's the question we get. How do I make money when they're starting out? So let's take a service-based entrepreneur, for example. If you're watching and you want us to specifically talk to your niche, your industry, let us know what that is in the comments, and we're more than happy to do that. The best way to do that, honestly, is going to be on our LinkedIn. It's on my personal LinkedIn right now, or on the Phoenix Factor Facebook page. For some reason, StreamYard doesn't like our Spark Academy Facebook yet. So, but if you want to leave those comments, and we'd love to address you on that, but let us know what you're doing. So, service-based entrepreneur, and they've started a business. They've got the LLC and they've got everything in place. They have a brick and mortar. They're going to open up let's say a little studio for wellness, because that used to be my industry. And what are the things that we have to put in place? What are the processes and the systems that we're going to need to put in place to, as last night we brought up, attract, get the leads, convert, nurture, all of the things. So what systems do you recommend right off the bat that they go into, start putting into place?
Right off the bat, you're talking about brick and mortar. You've already hopefully done your market research to know if your clients are in that area, if they are local to that area, or that you have worked somewhere before where you are bringing in your own clientele into a new space, because that's totally possible to do too. So what does your book of business look like prior to? You might be new at this business, but you'll have some resources. You will have had people on social media already. You have people in your telephone book that are already close knit. These are friends and family members, people that you can ask for favors. And then you have those people that you were already doing some type of business with prior to, whether it is a company that you always buy your stuff from. So let's say it's a Sports Authority or a Dick's or somewhere where you're already making purchases from. Those relationships to me become key because now those people have an audience that comes through their location all the time that may fit into your niche, that may be clients or capable of being clients to you. So how can I create a relationship? Can I put a vendor table in their location? What does that look like? So I'm in front of their foot traffic. That's one way. Can I put a flyer into their bags, their sales bags, especially during Black Friday or Christmas or some of these holidays, Memorial Day, depending on the industry? Can I get something and insert into their bag? Another is going to be from the post office. Mailing lists are available from the post office. So you actually can go to the post office or online and actually look up your industry, look up your zip codes, look up dollar amounts for income from families or small businesses and target those. And it will give you a list of people that now you can do some direct mailers to if you'd like to do that. And then, of course, it's letting people know what you do and asking those people to share with other people, because although they may not use your service or find a need for it right now, they may know people, and just knowing, hype up the founder, the owner of that's always big, because people speak to that even if they don't work in that industry or if they can't patronize your business. It's cool to say, oh yeah, I know Brandy, she's the owner of, or she's a partner in Spark Academy. Da, 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 da. That gives other people some clout. So bringing those people in, asking for the referrals, the testimonials, partnering up with businesses that are larger than you, they may already have your audience, and then direct mailer concepts with using the post office. You pay for all those stamps all this time, make sure that you can get your return on investment and get those lists.
That was phenomenal. I actually did not know that you could get that information from the post office. So that was an awesome tip. I think a couple of things, and we'll get Craig up here because we're going to talk about when we start at the end of the day, you need to know your numbers. Okay. So I had a brick and mortar, and my thought process was, well, I'm already making X amount of dollars on my own, which I was doing on my own. And then I brought in a trainer and a yoga instructor, and I had a chiropractor, a massage therapist. I had the whole 9 yards in this studio. And I'm thinking, people are going to be beating down the door, coming to this business to work with me. And I know that you guys think that, and it's not that they wouldn't if they didn't know about it. Right. But how are they going to find out? So where you're talking about, of course, the mailers and all the ways, start collaborating, getting to the community, make sure people know who you are, show up authentically, because as we've seen through social media, eventually the truth comes out. So just show up as yourself. You're not going to be for everyone in the community, and that's okay. I learned that as well. And then, of course, I'm going to go to social media to talk about that. And one of the big things that you mentioned is you guys have all seen the shift going over to short form videos now. So I think that you obviously need to have in your marketing system and your processes, you need to always I'm always thinking about content. I'm always thinking about what would my ideal client want to see. So what are their pain points? And if you know what their pain points are, so for me, you guys don't want to do social media, or it's a pain in the butt creating all of that or getting it scheduled. I need to know that I can trust you, which I'm going to get to as user-generated content. So like Stacey, you were just saying, get people to talk about you and pump them up. One of the things that we typically, when we're doing any type of consulting with, like we have a doctor right now, she has a brick and mortar. One of the things I recommended was to do an event with other like businesses that support the lifestyle of her ideal client, right? Because once again, when you guys are in a community, and I don't care how big or small, the city or town is that you're in, you still need that support. And it makes things so much easier to have that. There doesn't have to be competition. Even if you are in health and wellness, and there are other health and wellness, let's say you're a personal trainer and there's another trainer, please keep in mind, there is more than enough to go around. You have an ideal person that you're working with. They have an ideal person. So, getting clear on that for who you're working with, how you work with them, and being able to walk the person through that process. So The last thing I'll touch on, I think what a super important process, Stacey, is onboarding, having an onboarding system. So what's some feedback that you have for creating those systems for a new business? Oh, I lost you.
Yep. I totally missed the boat. When I got started, I totally missed the boat because I had been face to face. Going online, that was a whole nother ball game. And we'll let Craig pick up the ball on that one. I will pass, or as we say, I'm the spotter in volleyball, so I'll definitely set that spike up for him. But I missed it. On the face to face or back to the brick and mortar, having that system, whether it's paperwork, whether it's emails that are going to be set up, whether it is a system. So like once somebody says yes and fills out a form or an insert or calls in, what's that next step, for them? And when they make a purchase, what's that next step? So are you feeding them into a system where now you can continue to nurture them and tell them when the sales and promotions are coming out? Do you have them into a system where you can get feedback from them so that they're actually participating in the growth of your business? Therefore, they're more vested and they'll become those fans. They'll be return customers, customer appreciation days, like all of those things flow into it. But what do you already have set up? Are there forms that have to be released? If you're going to do content and you have cameras, do you have the authorization for release for these pictures and things? All of those kind of things. So as you set it up, it's how many things do you have to have in place? Where are they? And are they automated? And if they're not automated, who's implementing them? If you're the only person in the location for that day, who's pushing the papers and who's keying the stuff in and who's answering the phone? So what does the system look like? It's different for everybody, but you got to have one.
Yeah. And I'll use two types of brick and mortars. I know that we've worked with pretty extensively. One, of course, is health, medical, wellness professionals. And then, restaurants. We've worked with quite a few restaurants, franchises. And the one thing that they both always miss these days, I find a lot of them miss, is you have the opportunity in your surroundings to cater to a lot of the things that we're talking about for them to naturally happen. If you have a restaurant, someone's walking into the restaurant and they're always going to be looking around, especially if you have a waiting area. You have typically, of course, these days with the C word, people are using the QR code to see menus and things. But even then, you have the opportunity for pop-ups. So I know where people like always be selling, like that used to be a thing, like always be selling, always be closing, ABC. And for me, I'm thinking always be catering, meaning always be catering to the client journey. Always think about what is going through. If you're in the health, medical, and wellness, your office, if you're a doctor, if you are a massage therapist, if you're a trainer, whatever that waiting area or that waiting room, whatever that area looks like. Number one, you have an opportunity to add ancillary services and products that they could be seeing. Possibly could even do that at a restaurant, even if you just have swag. If you've got hats and shirts and things that you want people and, mugs, like I strategically placed mine, over here. I do that all the time. Some people notice it. But these are all the thought process. So when you're thinking about, once again, systems, sales funnels, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone's on a website going through a funnel, or like Craig's about to explain to us how we go through those funnels. You could literally set up a funnel in your brick and mortar, in your location. If you want to take people on this journey, they get into a certain room. What do they see? What's the experience? And then, as you mentioned, when they're leaving the first time, what's their experience? Is it a recurring service, that they're coming back for? Set up the loyalty, set up a reason for them to want to, recur. The biggest thing is that somebody these days, I feel like somebody has to be the face. I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel like even if it's a business with 30, 40, if it's a brick and mortar, 30, 40 people, whether it's the owner of the restaurant or the manager, I feel like there needs to be a face. People want to see a person showing up that they can relate to. And when they walk into that business, they can say, oh yeah, I've seen you on social media. I saw you on the website. I've seen you in the news. I saw you on the paper. I saw whatever that thing is, or I saw you at the chamber networking event. just I think that that's super important. So a lot of you have to get over the hump with not wanting to do that, not wanting to be the face. I understand there's a lot of businesses that don't have a face. They have a logo, they have a trademark. But I think that we want to get back to people these days. So get back to that organic content. All right, I'm going to bring Craig up, and I want to take a deep dive into, since we're talking about processes and systems, I want the three of us to literally walk everyone through, and that's real. I know that's going to be both of you, walk them through how to set up a process to make it a little more seamless, a little more easier, automate, which Craig is going to talk a lot more about. And last night we talked about, instead of creating these funnels, is there an opportunity to create a fan so that you can have this person revolving consistently, going through different aspects of the business, maybe low ticket to high ticket, depending on if you're a service-based or product-based business. So Craig, I'm going to bring you up with Stacy and I. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
How's it going?
Good.
What up, bot guy?
So Craig's jumping on each night. We're going to be back again tomorrow night. We're going to be specifically touching on lead generation and building a community tomorrow night on Wednesday. So Craig, I'd love for the three of us to take a deep dive into, let's say someone's had a business for 2-3 years. Hopefully they have, they're doing okay. They're doing good. But they're ready to ramp it up. They're ready for more sales. They're ready for more leads. So I'm going to go to Stacy first. Stacy, if I come to you, and I know we've heard this on Clubhouse many times, I have this great product. I have this great service. I've got an Instagram. I've got a website. I'm doing all the things, but nothing's happening. What are some of the things that you're going to be asking them as we go into helping them audit, but also to create systems and processes?
Yeah, so not in this order. So I won't say not in this order, but when they talk about all of the things, then it is, what are all of the things that you have? So looking at all of the tools, and do they talk to each other? You can have a bunch of people in the room that don't communicate with each other. So it's the same thing, all of these tools. And so how much work is required then to make the tools talk to each other? Are you having to use systems or, zaps, maybe a term? Are you having to use things to piece it together? And so there may be brokenness in between that. So that's talking more about the tools. Then we're back to, let's start with the ABCs. Do you know your avatar? And that's not just where do they live, how much money do they spend, and all of those things. Do you know their values? Do you know how they like to be spoken to? And that goes to the messaging and all of that. Do you know what platform they are on, where they like to play and where they like to buy? Because some people play on one platform, but they purchase on another platform.
That is gold. That is a really good point for everyone to remember. I love that you said that.
Yeah. Did you do your market research and ask people about the thing it is that you're trying to promote now? Did you ask people about it before you started promoting it? Or did you just decide this is what you wanted? Not necessarily what your audience wanted, but what you wanted. So your avatar, then into your branding, what does it look like is one thing, but what's your vision? Like, what's the big overall vision that you have for your brand? What's the mission that's going on right now? What do you want to drive to do, to accomplish? And you need to take people with you in order to do it. And then talking about the emotions. How do you want people to feel when they actually purchase your products, when they have their pain points resolved and they come out on the other side? And then what values do you represent? That if another brand were to say, hey, I might like to do something with you, what values might you say? This is what you have going on. This is my values, and they may not mix. And the final is the copy or the messaging. Your bio, is it consistent, the messaging all the way across the board? Or does it say that you are a graphic artist over on Instagram because it's all about, photos and videos and things, so you want to garner that, yet you're a copywriter over on Facebook, yet you are, a massage therapist over on LinkedIn? So what's the messaging, so that becomes important, because for you to work with people and for people to purchase from you, of course, we say this all the time, a confused mind doesn't buy. And then also, when working with other people, if people can't say what it is that you do, then they can't refer you. So I'll
Love it.
stop there.
So let me hit on the topic before we go over to Craig. The title tonight was, business systems and processes that every entrepreneur needs. Now I will say we are pretty much geared B2C clientele, service-based, in the aspect. So just know when we're talking, it doesn't exclude the rest of you, but we typically are talking to service-based businesses, B2C, especially if you do have a brick and mortar. Those of you that are looking for consistent, recurring clientele, right? Or you have the one-off product, but you still want them coming back and buying more and more and more.
Mhm.
So what is one system that every entrepreneur needs from that aspect?
Me go first?
Sure.
I would say, let Craig run the gamut, and I fill the blanks. One system, probably the first system for me was CRM, the client relationship manager. And why was that? For me to know how many people I already had in the kitty, and out of the people I had in the kitty, how many of them could potentially be clients, how many of them I could possibly partner with, and how many of them could I, if they wouldn't buy from me, could I at least get them to say a good word about me, to pay social digital currency, to pass out a flyer, or to speak about me in a room when I wasn't there. So
Love
that
that.
was for me to manage, and then to break those up. Some people were more than one of those things. And so, but being able to manage that, and then having that accurate information. Did I have a phone number for them? And did I have an email address for them, so that I can catch them, coming and going in different ways? Some people have addresses too. So.
Right. All right, Craig.
Yeah, I'm going to say pipeline. Like, you have to know the journey of your customer. You have to know where they coming from, which, ads, social, print, all of those things. And when they get there, you have to have the path set up based on how they came in. Because like Stacy said, people like to communicate in different ways. So you want to tag them. And so then you can use your automations to follow up in those ways. So you're going to get better conversion if you're speaking to them the way they want to, be spoken to. And then, just you really have to understand, once you have that pipeline set up, then it's capturing the leads, tagging them, segmenting them, putting them to the CRM. Like, you have to have a CRM. Like, if you don't have a CRM, it's impossible. Mm-hmm. Plus, on social, you're limited. You have 24 hours where you can automatically engage, and then 7 days. And if they don't engage back, then that's it. So if you don't get their email, their phone number, like, you can't do anything. So I always preach to take your followers and turn them into leads and push them to your CRM, so you own them, and now you can continue to nurture them forever.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up 3, and then we can break them down. By the way, I never had a CRM, and it was horrible. And I'm you guys, look, I'm not going to BS you, completely transparent. Until we met Craig, we had our makeshift. But the process, and now I understand how everything works. We spent, 4 years. We had like a Zoho, kind of the free. It didn't do anything at all. It was really a pain in the ass, honestly. And then, of course, through the website, we were capturing, the information, but we weren't tagging it. We didn't know what the person wanted. When we reached out, there was no follow-up or automations to begin to nurture them. So I am gonna go in order. The first thing that I think you need is the system or the process of qualifying, knowing how to qualify clients. So when people come to the website or come to you, we talked about this earlier today in Clubhouse, So many of you are spending time and you're getting really frustrated because you're like, I spend all this time talking to people and no one buys. That's telling you two things. Number one, the information you're putting out is not attracting your ideal client, because those are the people who are coming. Number two, there's always going to be, as I call, tire kickers. They go to the dealership and kick the tires, but they're never going to buy the car. So let them come, but have a way to qualify them to the point that you know whether or not you want to put your energy and your time into that. Especially if you're a solopreneur, right? If you're working for yourself. So I think you need to have that. Once they're qualified, I think you need to have a really strong onboarding system. And I'm going to say that from both sides. Number one, we have learned our lessons. It allows you to document everything about the client, which is going to be important for some of you if that client becomes trouble for you. You have everything documented, but also because it's very clear on the expectations. It's written, it's written out in that process. And the other thing is, for example, when I was in fitness, even though I was done training or they reached their goal, I think that offboarding/follow-up system is super important. Because you stay fresh on their mind, because let's be honest, the next holiday season, they might have gained 15 pounds back and need to be back again and be like, oh yeah, I can go back to Brandy. And they can also refer. So if we're nurturing them and they're getting that love from us, they're going to be like, oh, you got to go to so-and-so. So let's go back to the first one on qualifying. And Craig can really, I'll go to Craig first, because they have a huge opportunity with how you set everyone up to qualify. So explain how they can use automations to qualify the client.
Yeah. So my first go-to automation is social and chat bots. That's kind of my wheelhouse. And so with chat bots, what's amazing that you can do is you bring people into the DMs and then pre-qualify, which is you ask them specific questions. And then you say, if they answer this way, send them over here. If they answer this way, send them over here. So for like a coach, they're not just saying, hey, go to my calendar, and you get 5 people who shouldn't have been on your calendar. So you make them go through those steps, and then you're able to, get super qualified leads. And it saves time too. Realtors, attorneys, like they have those intake forms, or they have all the questions, what are you interested in, all this. You have a realtor? Yes. Okay. I can't work with you. So you send them a different way, but they still came in. And now with the CRM, you nurture them, because eventually, hopefully they'll buy or they'll refer someone to you. So being able to pre-qualify that way and automatically, like 24/7, is a game changer.
Yeah. And another reason, that I'll say, working with people that have already been through the process. So one of the things we're going to work with you on, if we put you in the burn seat or we're doing an audit with you, is what are the big pain points for you in your business that you already know about? So for us, for example, if we're onboarding someone, we're going to be doing their social media management. We're going to be setting up automations in the DM with the chat bot. And we're going to be running Facebook and Instagram ads, and just all the things, email campaigns, all of the things, right? And Stacy's going to make sure that they have everything set up straight to go in and cater with their language to network and connect with the right people and set up, all of those resources. For all of that to come together, you have to know what the big picture looks like. We talked about that last night. If you don't know, figure that out first. Because going in blindly with just a couple of the pieces, and not seeing the big picture, but you have a couple of pieces, it's going to screw you up. And it's going to cost you, once again, it's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you money. And I know a lot of us when I started the Phoenix Factor, I didn't have a dime to my name. So every penny counted for me until I started getting clients. And I'm not going to lie, because I'm hard-headed and I didn't learn the way I should have. I still spent 2 years doing things that if I had just asked for the right help and surrounded myself with the people that had done it, I was always kind of the one that was like, oh gosh, what are they going to think? I'm not doing these things. And I had a mentor, I tell the story all the time, that kind of, metaphorically slapped me across the face and said, you're not going all in. You're working at a level 7 and not a 10, and you're not going to make it that way. And I was like, oh, damn. But when I got that, and then I started surrounding myself with people that were just giving it to me, I got to the point where I had that armor and realized I could take it, and all that was going to do was make me stronger. Now, we don't come at you like that, but we're going to come at you with the hard facts. We're going to come at you and say, if you stay on this path, you're going to fail a lot. It's going to be painful. We're not going to sugarcoat it.
We don't want the crash and burn. That's
right.
not what we're talking about.
Right. Well, and I know, even for Craig, especially when we're on calls, sometimes I know Craig gets a lot of pushback from the chat bot and everything. But I think a lot of that is because they don't understand it. It's so new. And what do we do when we don't understand things? We stick with what we know. Well, exactly. If you keep doing what you know, you're going to stay where you are. Are you happy there? I want to constantly evolve and grow in my business and for my clients and learn. And yes, it can be a little uncomfortable, but it's a hell of a lot more uncomfortable not growing and then figuring that out and then moving on to someone that is, So Stacey, anything you want to add as far as qualifying process?
Yeah. Even the thought of we all hear your voice so loud from the clubhouse rooms when you say this, or thinking about discovery calls and those consultation calls that was your intake, and you were spending an hour gathering information from them by hand while they're talking, and then doing it on Zoom, and then going back and reviewing that. So now you're at an hour and a half and you didn't get paid.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's not the intake we're talking about. If you're going to do it that way, right. So if you are a business or you are a strategist that works better face to face, you need to see that interaction. You want to see the honesty, the authenticity, because you're going to work with them over 3 months for $10,000, $15,000. Then it's a paid consultation. This is the intake so that I can get the information, do the best needs analysis to match you with the best strategies. And that's my job to do that. So yes, you're paying for this so that I can give you the best customized plan for you on the back end. But Brandy's like, I know y'all aren't doing those free calls anymore. And I'm like, ooh, 15 minutes. That's it.
Well, and once again, I was doing those. I was doing the same thing. And then, just to kind of break it down, when I was on my own and I was starting out, and, I think a lot of us have done it. It's like, oh, I'm just going to give everybody a free consultation because somebody's got to sign up with me. Right. Well, sorry for what I'm about to say, but, when you give away free shit, people want more free shit. I mean, it is what it is. It's just this thing, right? There's no value there for them. Now, do I still do some free? Yes, but it's a case by case. And the reason I do that is because usually from the referral that I got, and I know a little bit about this person. But as I grew and I started charging, and I explained to the person, and, we do this now as a team, when we actually go in and do a full audit, which we know we're giving them, proposition value could be $10,000 to $50,000, depending on what we find when we do these audits as a team. But let's say we go in and we do this audit for you, and in my mind, I'm thinking we all did it for free. The amount of information that we get back is, you're going to be able to use it whether you work with us or not, is what I'm getting at. And when I figured that out, we started charging more. But this is what I tell everyone, and I guess I'm going to put some people put their feet to the fire because this is what we do. I wanted to show up as a coach, as a better coach and a better consultant, and I would say to them, "Here's what I'm going to promise you: I'm going to record the call, and I'm going to give it to you, and you can watch it over and over and over, and you can pull all this information. I'm also going to give you notes. I'm going to give you a blueprint. We use Trello for that, and we have a template that we personalize. And I mean, the detail that we put into these boards, if you're a go-getter, guess what? You really wouldn't have to work with us. At some point, you're going to need a team and you're going to come back to us, but you could start out without us. And that's why we charge, because I now understand the proposition value of what I'm doing. A lot of you start out and you don't know that. And if you don't know the value, then how can you expect someone else to know that? We get better clientele. We come in with an understanding. It sets a boundary. So I think qualifying and then going into that paid consultation. Another thing that you could do for some of you that are in service space is let people know, whatever that fee is, I'm charging X amount of dollars, but if you buy this package, I'll apply the consultation to the package. So they're not losing anything, but they got skin in the game. And if they're not serious, you got paid for your time.
Yep.
So I think it's, great way to go at it. I see Usman is on, and I think Angelique is still here. So I just want to say hi. If you're joining us, if you have specific questions, as we're talking, feel free to drop those in the comments. We'll definitely address those. Even if you're watching a replay, we'll still come back. Our incredible VAs will come back and make sure that we get all those questions turned into us. So we talked about qualifying. So onboarding, you guys, this can become such a nightmare. And I'm speaking from experience for me. Craig, I would think for you onboarding is really big because you're doing all this technical stuff and there's lots of questions. From that, let's just talk about how much of that can be automated. How much of the onboarding process can be automated?
A lot. I mean, literally, if you know what questions to ask, what you need, everything, all the data, once you get all that data, you can do whatever you want. You can zap it somewhere, you can Slack it to your team, like you can, like, just pretty much everything can be automated to the point of get on a call and kind of answer their questions and whatnot. But like creating their funnel, like you can automate almost everything.
I think something that Stacy pointed out, and I can't remember, I think it was Stacy Markley last week. Another huge mistake I made. And in order to do that, and a lot of the things we're talking about tonight, is when you're in your infancy in your business, or even right now, screw it, wherever you are, write down everything you're doing as your SOP, your standard operating procedures. So for onboarding, the next time, look on your calendar and you're like, oh, tomorrow I've got someone at 11 a.m. Okay, well, guess what? Record in Zoom, record the onboarding process with the permission of the person, and say, I'm just going to pull the text, because now you can pull the text, the audio and the video, pull the text. Or Stacy introduced me to Fireflies, which I love. You guys go look that up, because Fireflies will join your Zoom and it will do all of that for you. And I love it. But you can basically pull the text and, of course, tweak it, and boom. I mean, there you've got the questions you ask. You're probably going to think of other things, deeper questions that you need to ask, or how to pivot. And then be able to go to someone like Craig and say, okay, here's all the things that I want in my onboarding process. So, Stacy, what else you got for onboarding?
Yeah, that's big. And then also on the side of documents, you're talking about a lot of consultants and coaches that are sending out documents and they need signatures. And so that process, there are things that I missed. I delivered my stuff. I said, okay, here are my deliverables and everything, but I didn't get a signature for a contract, because to me, it wasn't a contract in my mind. It was me delivering results to this client. So if the system is already in place, you don't miss steps, because it's already there and it will take you through it over and over again. And if I'm not the one bringing the person in, somebody else, I can get my 6-year-old grandson to start a process at the beginning where the execution of the onboarding is continued. And so it doesn't matter. And I can pay my 6-year-old grandson, and that'd be a tax deduction. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing we can talk about. But, so having it in place means it's duplicatable. It'll happen over and over and over again. Then you can also figure out where the kinks are. If there's an issue in it, you can track it back, like in a car when they go through, okay, if it's the battery, is it the battery? No. Is it the alternator? No. Is it so the generator, just looking at that. If the system is in place, then you can figure out what's broken and fix it. If it's all hodgepodge put together, then one, you don't know what's broken. You don't even know what's going right. So it's hard to duplicate it. So there is no scaling because you can't look at larger numbers if you have a
Repeat that.
system. There,
Repeat that.
if there's no system, there is no scaling. You can't duplicate the process and you can't look at going larger because you just can't get them through it. So if you're looking to scale, then you have to have a system because we're dropping fire on what's already right. And you can't add fuel to something that's already wrong because that itchy will just burn.
Yes. So, you guys know I'm always thinking about this. I have my phone. I decided to go ahead and push this out live on Instagram as well. So if you're joining us on Instagram, drop your questions for Stacy, for Craig, and for I. We're talking about business systems and processes. And you guys, like, I almost get emotional when I talk about this because you just don't understand. Once again, if I had put all these things in place, if I had, if I paid attention to the fact that, once again, yes, I was so good at what I did, but I didn't know jack about business. It constantly caused problems. I didn't know I was hiring employees at the time. I was bringing on staff. So whether you're bringing on contractors or staff members, you need a process for that. You got to set the expectations and the boundaries right away with that. And I wasn't doing that. I was all over the place. We just talked about qualifying people that will save you time, money, and stress. How to qualify. People should be able to go to your website or your social media, number one, and kind of already have an idea if they're your ideal client, obviously from the content that's going out. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, for us, we go into consulting, it's anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000, depending on the scope of work that we're looking at, right? So let's say we're going in as a team, all of us and the other coaches, and we're doing this full audit. And, someone says, I'm ready to scale my business. Without knowing about their business at all, we're already going to know very specific things to ask. And this is what we want you to understand. Yes, we're going to take a deeper dive depending on your niche, your industry, who you're targeting. But there is just a universal foundational aspect of business that you guys have to have in place to be successful, and just stop spending that 1 to 3 years that I feel like a lot of us do. I did banging my head against the wall, not doing those things up front. So we talked about qualifying the clients, all the ways that you could do that. We just talked about onboarding processes. So now, Craig, let's go back to they're onboarding. They're in the pipeline. They're in the pipeline when we attract them, right? They're in the pipeline when we're onboarding them. What else do we need to understand about that pipeline, and why is that so important as they start to go through that journey, the client journey?
Yeah, so the pipeline, what's super important about automating the pipeline is you can set automations based on where they're at. So if someone has to do something before they move to the next thing and they haven't done it in X amount of time, send them a reminder, send you a reminder. Like, everybody knows that this is happening. And you can also see it visually. You can see where people are at. So you literally know where they're at and how to get them to move to the next stage. So automating your pipeline is, super important.
So let me ask you this on that journey. So let's say I'm gonna use myself as an example. Let's say someone comes into the pipeline, the funnel, and they're looking at us helping them with. They want to get a business strategy audit, and once we've done the audit, they're like, I want you to give me, I want you to help me with my social media, my content creation. Okay, so they get into the process, and then we know that they need other options. We need to bring other options in. Okay. Is that when you're saying the pipeline, we can look, can you, I'm trying to think of the right word. Can you mimic that when you see a certain client going through a process, can you also mimic that for others and be able to project that those clients would also probably want to go through that same process to go ahead and upsell them in the pipeline?
What do you mean by mimic?
So you know how we can target, you can go to like Facebook ads and you can see who your competitors are targeting. You can see all the information. To me, I would think it would be pretty beneficial, because I do this the old school way, but I'm like, okay, if if John and Sally and Peter are all doing these three things every time, and they're the same type of client, I'm going to assume that 80% of the clients coming in with that. So does it show you that? I mean, does it show you that kind of information?
Yeah. So basically, you'll see how many people are in each thing, and then they move. So obviously, if you have all these empty and you're final and you've got them all there, you know that your process, is pretty smooth. But if you have, a bunch over here and one or two over here, there's a problem. So you need to figure out what that problem is and why aren't they moving over, and make changes for that. And the other thing is, you don't just have one pipeline. You'll have multiple pipelines. You can have support pipeline, a sales pipeline, all these different pipelines, and they can move, up and down, or they can be in multiple pipelines.
Oh Lord, that's a whole other conversation. There you go. And see, I want everybody to understand, when Stacy and Craig talk, sometimes my mind still gets blown, even with all the things I know in my brain. And this is why I get so pumped up about all of us being together now, and what we can offer, from these different perspectives. So, Stacy, what do you have to add?
Back to what you were saying, that is very key, because if you start watching it, if you have a process that's built out and it's like A through H, these are the steps, and we know we've gotten people through A through H. But now you're starting to get, and at process D, people are dipping off. Yet, let's say you were sending them a nurturing email, and now they're not responding. The open rate is going down, and they're not moving to the next step. Yet you start sending SMS, sending text messages, and the open rate is higher. And then now they're responding, they're clicking links, and now they're filling in the loop and completing the H process. Now you can duplicate the process, yet instead of the email, now you have sending in the SMS. But that's because the process was there, and you could literally track the steps to where they stopped, and then say, hey, where do we build the bridge now? Let's try this. And those variations, the SMS worked well. So now this is going to become the regular bridge, but we still have the other option in place. So absolutely, because you can see all the steps, you can duplicate it, and then you can tweak out, the changes. And that's as, the big C hit. And then as we move to summer, things change where people aren't doing this. They're on the go more. So there will be less emails open. But that's why you have groups like this that keep track of that. You have a Brandy that's on looking at these reports and these trends and getting these alerts, and coming back saying, hey, you guys, let's look at this. We've got to know there's going to be some shift with Elon Musk taking over Twitter. So seriously, it's like, are you prepared? And then are you prepared to be part of the process instead of getting left behind? But you've got to know, and you've got to watch, and you've got to be willing to participate. We won't steer you wrong, but you've got to be willing to dip your feet in.
I love that you actually touched on that. I personally am excited about him, buying Twitter. But one of the points I want to bring up that I talked about today, actually, Craig, you had already left the room, that I've found that so vital is for you, whatever the process is, whether it is SMS, the email campaigns, you can't even say Discord, you need a space where you own the leads that you have. Meaning, if some billionaire buys a platform and it completely changes or kicks you off, and you're going to lose everything.
100%.
So all of these processes, all of these systems that we're talking about, if you put them into place and you have the SOP and you have, the ability to build them, it doesn't matter, because you can build it over and over and over. And I think I'm going to go back to the big C, because whether it comes back in a wave or not, or something else happens, I hope that we have all learned a big lesson about where we need to be prepared, where the holes were in the ship, right? We started launching, we have not fully launched, like the telewellness community, for that reason. Because so many people went under if they had just been prepared and ready to go virtual and still provide the service that they were offering. Now, granted, there are some things, look, Even massage therapists were coming to me and saying, well, how can I stay in business? And I'm like, well, you need to go on and teach people how to do sports massage on themselves, sports massage, partner, whatever,
Stress
teach them
management,
techniques, whatever that is.
aromatherapy.
You just nailed it. You're like, you have to be willing to, you have to be flexible, right? You're firm in what you want. You're firm in your passion and what you want to offer to others. But if you're flexible, you can grow in so many ways. And it's a scary, fun roller coaster ride because you don't know, what you're going to be doing the next day. Okay. So we touched on the attraction. We touched on qualifying. We touched on onboarding, getting them in the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the biggie. Let's finish up with, they've been a client for a while. What are the systems and processes that we need for those existing clients that are either going to be gone after one service or whatever, or maybe they're recurring and things are getting stale? So what are some systems and processes that we could put into place for that?
Loyalty program.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Loyalty program. Any way for them either to get a discount in the future or to participate in something themselves. That's a big one. Having them become an affiliate or an ambassador for your brand that keeps them in it. Again, either a discount for them or just compensation for anything. Input as far as like feedback. Here's your special. I'm looking to do this, and I'd love your feedback because you're a valued customer, a valued client, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. That keeps people in it because they feel valued and they feel part of the process. Another thing about it is asking if they are exiting out of your funnel system. They have said, like, I'm done. Whether it's negative or whether you just don't have another product on the other side of it, asking them, what could you have done? What do they need at this point? How could you have shifted, provided more service, customer service or something? Is there anything else that would have kept them with you even longer? And people want to, quote unquote, complain, or they want to have a say-so in it. So they'll tell you on that exit, and 80% of the time we've done this, I've watched the numbers in another industry, 80% of the time they'll still be with you just because you asked.
Yep. Now take that information that you're getting on the end, go back to when we were talking about qualifying and the questions you were asking, and know that some of you could have saved the issue in the beginning. So, and it just hit me because one of the things that we say after everyone goes through our onboarding form, at the very bottom, we say, as much as we would love to help you with your business, we are simply really at the end of the day providing you with tools. What you decide to do with these tools is entirely up to you and really what you put into this. You are steering the boat. You're driving the car, right? We are not running your business for you. It's a lesson that I learned because people want a magic pill sometimes. And when they don't get it, then yes, they come back and they're like, I thought all these things. And I'm like, and I apologize that you thought those things. I can't read your mind, but I know that I did not tell you those things were going to happen. However, it doesn't help the business relationship at the end of the day. So I love pulling all that together. Craig, what's a way that we can automate that system to reach out to people and do something with that information?
Yeah, so I that's what I was going to add. Like everything Stacy said is spot on, but doing that manually is not easy. So having, again, you have the system when they go to cancel, you have a whole funnel for that. You have a follow-up page. You have, why, and even offering, hey, how about a free month? You have them still, try to keep them. And if you're constantly nurturing them, you're constantly having, even after they leave, if you did a good job, ask for a referral, like just all of that stuff, but automating all that. So it just happens at the certain times, the emails go out, the SMS goes out, the funnels go, when they go to cancel.
So ultimately, once they've worked with you for a while and they've gotten all of this information out of their brain, right? And we've gone through the process, really you get to pull everything under this one platform. Everything is talking to each other. So, as we say, things don't fall through the cracks, because how many times a week do all of you go, oh man, I was supposed to call so-and-so, or I was supposed to follow up with that person, or, whatever that is. So I think it's so important. So we're perfectly at the top of the hour. Before I finish out tonight, a couple of things I want to mention is Usman had a question. So if you're still here, please feel free to drop that in the comments. We'd love to answer your question. Hey, Michelle Lynn Hardson, how are you? Michelle, if you have any questions, Michelle's another Spark Academy member. We love seeing our members jump on. So let me touch on the Spark Academy just really quickly for all of you that are like, what does she keep talking about? The Spark Academy, as you know, Craig and Stacy and I are coaches. We have other coaches and contributors. And really what we wanted to do is have a place for you to come. Whether you have a budget or not, it's $49 a month. So we knew they could come in for that. And the coaches are going live with you several times a week on different topics, different subjects, trainings, tutorials to help you ignite your business and burn through challenges. There's a Q&A at the end. The beauty is we are leaving the replays up 24/7 for you. So if you can't make the times that we went live, you can go back and watch it. You can still come back and ask questions. And you also get a personalized request once a month, meaning you can send in an email to our support line, and whoever the coaches that we feel would be best to answer that, we're going to send you an email back with the answer to your question. Now, what I do want to bring up is the burn seat. I talked about that a little bit earlier. We have been doing that on Clubhouse, but we think we could get a lot more and a lot further doing this live. Number one, you get access to the coaches that get to come on with you that day. We're going to talk about your business. So if we're talking about your business, you're going to be on LinkedIn, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, gaining, and I say gaining that exposure because not only are the people that see you that day, but these videos stay forever, you guys. I mean, they don't go anywhere unless they get, someone deletes them. You can also pull that video for content if you'd like. And instead of going and paying $5,000 to $10,000 for a business strategy audit and that conversation with other coaches and not even being sure if you're going to the right coaches because you're going to one coach, you're going to be on with 3, 4, 5, 6 coaches at a time. So I think I've painted a pretty good picture of how incredible this is. So if it's something that you would love to do, you can comment burn seat here on the platform tonight, or definitely just DM us, reach out to us. We're on the Spark Academy for Entrepreneurs is on Instagram, Facebook. thesparkacademy.club is our website. You can contact us there. I would say send smoke signals, but I don't know if I'll see them. So, one day I'll get there. But to wrap this up, Craig and Stacy, overall, everyone was hearing everything tonight. What's that one golden nugget though that you're like, look, if you didn't hear anything tonight, I want to make sure that you heard this thing moving forward with the processes and systems of your business. So Stacy, what you got?
I'm going to say that systems control the people. And most people are going to say no, because the people have to create the systems. But no, systems control the people, because if there are no systems in place, then people act one way. If there are systems in place, people act a different way. If you think about going into the restaurant that Brandy was talking about, or a doctor's office, if there's no system in place and you go in and you're just waiting for your turn, nobody's telling you where to go, where to sit, where to wait, who's next, what the process is, you're going to get kind of pissed off. So just understand that the systems are going to control the people. And if you have the systems in place, then there are more people that you can get through the system. And then that makes more distribution. And then that is more revenue. And with the systems and the right systems, that's more profit.
Mm-hmm. So, and scaling. You're able to scale.
Yes.
So, Craig, what's a big golden nugget you want to make sure everyone heard tonight?
Really, because you can't automate until you have your system set up. So really doing that pipeline, understanding the customer journey, all those steps, what you want to happen at what point. And then once you have that, then start figuring out what makes sense to automate, because you don't have to automate everything. There's, it may not make sense to automate some things. So just figure out what things you do have to automate and then start automating those things.
Yeah.
Or pay somebody.
Yeah.
Or pay somebody.
And, yeah. So for me, I mean, kind of a combination of both, kind of the same things is just, if you can't confidently close your eyes and walk through from the time you attract someone to you, they see a, or they found you on Clubhouse or whatever that thing is, if you can't confidently in your mind know that you can walk through the process that's in place in your business, then get to it. So we'd love to help you build that strategy and that system. But from the time you attract them, how you attract them, what happens when they find you, is there a call to action and links and a system to get them into the funnel, and then into the pipeline? Is there an onboarding system? Is there a qualifying system? How are you nurturing them? This is very important to a lot of people. We have 4 personality types that, we've all heard about the DISC testing. I always try to remember, even though I'm a very dominant and aggressive in my nature, that if I'm dealing with someone who's not, that I need to roll it back, because you got to meet them where they are. They're not going to come to where you are. You've got to meet them where they are in this process. So I think that's super important. And you guys ask, surround yourself with people that have done it and ask all the questions. And we are here to answer those questions. All you have to do is ask. So I think we definitely dropped a lot of gold tonight. We will be back in Clubhouse on Thursday at 1 p.m. in the Spark Academy. Look for us to go live. We have about 3 burn seats lined up already. So we will be coming back live on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook for that. And then Stacy and Craig and I have also talked about going live on Instagram and doing some rapid fire sessions with some of you. So just kind of firing off some things that you're having issues with in your business, your marketing, your systems, your processes. We'd love to do that. So, we're here to help you guys keep rising. So thank you, coaches, for coming in tonight and dropping gold. Craig, I know you're going to be back tomorrow night. Stacy, I know everyone's going to see you again. So until then, you guys keep rising, and we will see you again soon.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye.